change and save their careers. When I say change, I mean change the trajectory of their career or save their careers because they focused on their sleep. And can you give me some examples of that?
Yes. Golden State Warriors' Andre Iguodala. He's someone who I worked closely with. He came to the Warriors back in around 2014. He was already an all-star. He was 28 at the time, knew that his career was going to probably be sunsetting at some future time, but wanted to extend it as long as possible. But he knew he wasn't doing sleep best as possible. He was very open about sharing how he would stay up till the wee hours in the morning playing video games, would sleep for a few hours, go to practice, play for a few hours, come home and take a 2 to 3 hour power nap. And that was his routine for 10 years. And he said, how do I improve how I approach my sleep? I know that this is important as an athlete who wants to play in the league as long as possible. So I had the opportunity to work with him over several months to help him recraft how he approached his sleep, including a wind down routine, thought about some of his nutritional choices, tried to shorten his naps, time them closer to game time to give him the boost in alertness and performance, be able to manage a racing mind and be able to have just a more proactive approach to his sleep. In a really neat way, the following season, the Warriors went to the championship for the first time in many years. They won. He came back with the finals MVP. He subsequently has won 3 more championships with them, so 4 in total, and extended his career for 10 years. When we made these changes, there was a quantification of the performance enhancement. So a third party quantified as he went from under 7 to 7.5 to more than 8 hours, he had a 2-fold increase in his 3-point percentage. He had a 8.9% increase in his free throw shots, which very interestingly is the exact same 9% that I showed in my men's basketball study that had the same 9% improvement in free throws. He had a 29% improvement in his points per minute, a 45% decrease in his fouls. And so, these numbers are pretty staggering, again, for someone who's already at the highest level as an all-star. And it's not to take anything away from Andre, but he has been very vocal about the difference this made as he changed these habits. He says it changed everything for him. And I think that that's a very inspiring story of what it can mean to extend your career and be able to almost tap into this additional performance capacity that I think even he was surprised about, that he, for the first time, was able to improve beyond what he already thought was his best. And I think that's what's so inspiring, because this is something that's accessible to all of us to be able to tap into that little bit more.
So not only did he win the Most Valuable Player award, but his 3-point conversion went up 218%.
Yeah, so during the time that I had worked with him, his 3-point percentage went up 2-fold during that time.
It begs the question, what did you do to him? And you named a couple of things there, but I'd love to dig into some of those key points.
Sure.
Where you started with him, the specific sort of things that you implemented into his sleep hygiene, and so that if I am him, the day that you met him, when he was taking those naps and staying up late, which I often do, to be fair, where would you start with me, and where did you start with him?
Okay, so let's dive into just some very practical strategies that I started to challenge him with, which was, we'll start with his sleep environment. We want to make your sleep environment like a cave, really dark, quiet, cool, and comfortable. Dark cave, so dark, blackout curtains, eye mask are some of the easiest tools that you can grab, but are incredibly helpful and great investment to be able to use that both at home and then when you travel, so that if you're in a non-ideal environment like a hotel room, you have, for example, an eye mask that can help dampen out the light. Making it quiet, so earplugs. Also a white noise machine. I'm a huge fan of even a small travel white noise, so that you can actually mask over external noises that you may or not be able to control.
I'm someone that tells myself that I sleep with something playing. I grew up with a radio in my room, so as an adult now, I'm always looking to play something as I fall asleep. Is that going to hurt my sleep quality?
I would say if you're accustomed to this, I would say that's fine to continue to do so. I am not a fan of having the TV on and having the bright light exposed to you in that hour before bedtime, because it also can just be very psychologically stimulating. But if, like you said, it's a radio or it's a podcast that you feel is helping you relax, then I'm a fan of it.
Do you think diarrhea will help people relax?
It might. It might help you at least think about your sleep a bit more and challenge you to do maybe one change tonight.
We consider that to be a scientific endorsement of the podcast. Okay, so I've got sound down. You are a fan of the white noise machines.
I am, because sometimes there's external noises like a garbage truck or construction that you're not always able to control. So if you can at least mask over it temporarily, that can sometimes be helpful to keep individuals more asleep during the nighttime. And there's even some now that are adaptive. So if the door slams, then the volume temporarily increases and then will decrease. So there's almost these smart white noise machines that are coming out on the market. So that's from a noise standpoint, and earplugs are going to be helpful if you're traveling. When you're at home, you can obviously use those to dampen down any external noise. From a temperature standpoint, you want it to be cool. I think this is an area that a lot of people can benefit from because they often sleep in much warmer temperatures than what we know is probably more conducive to sleep, which is cooler. 60 to 67 degrees has been shown to help individuals stay asleep and fall asleep. That may be frigidly cold for some, but you have to find the temperature that's right for you. I would say decrease your temperature by, say, 1 degree or 2 degrees every couple of days, and then you can find the temperature that works well for you. And there's even technology now where there's mattress covers that can help you regulate temperature from much cooler to warmer. So if there's differences in bed partners, that's a way that you can actually accommodate both of their preferences.
So that's about 16 to 20 degrees Celsius. What about when I shower or I bath? Because often I go and have a shower, then I get straight into bed after.
Yes.
Is that good or bad?
I would encourage you to shift that timing a little bit earlier into the night. So an hour and a half before you are planning to go to bed, I would shift your shower, because when you are taking a hot bath or hot shower, it increases your core temperature. But when you fall asleep, your core temperature drops. So you don't want that competing signal to be right before bedtime. But if you back that shower up an hour and a half, that should be sufficient time that we think potentially there's an augmentation of helping that drop in temperature. And some smaller studies have shown that that can help decrease the time to fall asleep and also enhance deep sleep, which has implications for muscle recovery, regeneration, and you get more of that in the earlier part of your night. So it's an easy fix, just to tweak the timing of your shower and your hot bath to be just an hour or two before bedtime, not right before bed. So it's a strategy too, if you have difficulties winding down and relaxing, to implement that hot shower, hot bath earlier in the evening.
One of the problems I also have when I sleep sometimes is I hear people say you can't eat like 3 or 4 hours before bed. However, I sometimes get home at 10 p.m. and I get home hungry as hell at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And then sometimes if I order food, for example, it might come at like 11.
Okay.
Which means that I end up eating at 11, and then I really see it in my sleep scores. I think as well that I'm someone that tends to fall asleep later. Again, this might just be me telling BS to myself, but that's what tends to happen. And I know I'm not supposed to eat before bed, but I'm so hungry. So is there anything that I can eat before bed that won't disrupt my sleep but will get rid of the hunger?
Yes, the preference is not to have a huge meal right before bed that's fried, fatty, really heavy sitting in your stomach that hour right before bedtime. So if you're able to time that and be strategic, then that's obviously the preference. But I'm okay with you having a pre-sleep snack. A lot of times for my athletes, that means we'll go for something like 50% of a complex carb and like 50% of a lean protein. So for example, cereal and milk is an easy one.
Cereal?
Yes, cereal and milk. Of course, we want something that's whole grain and not, necessarily a sugary, cereal, but cereal and milk is an easy one that many people have access to, or cottage cheese and fruit, or 100% whole wheat crackers and peanut butter. And the reason why is because I don't want you waking up in the middle of the night being hungry, or even trying to fall asleep and you feel like you're hungry. But we want something that's slow digesting through the night, because ideally you're going to be sleeping 7, 8, 9 hours during the night. And we want it to be able to get you to the morning time, and then you will fuel when you wake up. So a pre-sleep snack can be a great strategy if you're coming home late and you want to obviously be able to fuel before bed, or if you have a really early dinner and you're hungry before bedtime.
Yeah, that happens sometimes as well. Sometimes I'll eat dinner at about 5 p.m.
Yep.
And then I get to about 10, 11 p.m. and I'm still awake and I'm starving.
Okay, so what's a pre-sleep snack that you think you can grab for?
some nuts.
Okay, yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah. Nuts have protein in them. Yeah, you can grab a good nut mix. Maybe you can partner that also with like some yogurt too.
Raspberries.
Raspberries, yeah,
Blackberries.
fruit. Yeah, and some, yes, a protein and carb in there. And those are good pre-sleep snack.